Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the ChepSafari podcast. Hi and welcome to the ChepSafari podcast hosted by me. My name is Chep and I am on a safari. On this podcast, we have conversations on life and what that looks like for me, for my guests, and definitely for you who interacts with us. Hopefully, these episodes help me and you uncover the mysteries living has to offer and help each one of us on this journey we call life. Join me by subscribing, by turning on your notification bell so that you're notified whenever I post my new episode next week, and by leaving a review on every episode that you enjoy. So I hope you'll journey with me as we discuss all things life. In today's episode, we are going into the streets, we're going to the roads, we're going to the forests, we're going to the bundus, we're going into different trails and discussing why I run. And before we dive deeper, I'd like to clean out my room, clean out the house kidogo before I go into this safari, and we'll do a little housekeeping. Then we can jump right into the journey. So thank you to everyone who has been subscribing, who's been watching my content. I, to be very honest, did not expect this feedback, so I'm very grateful. Thank you for checking us out on the podcast platforms, which include Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Yes, we're now on Apple Podcasts and we're now on Deezer. We are also on Google Podcasts, One Radio FM, and also Red Circle. So please do check us out on there. I'll leave all the links in the description box below in case you're watching us here on YouTube. For those of you who didn't know, by the way, we're on YouTube too. So if you're watching us on YouTube and you'd probably want to switch to a podcast platform so that you can run around and do your errands or do other things, then you can check us out on there. For those of you listening to us via audio, the audio, we are also here on YouTube, so you can check out the visuals, subscribe, follow us on those podcast platforms, and be sure to engage with us. I really would love to hear back from you on your thoughts concerning the episodes we're discussing about, and also your feedback in terms of where you're at in life. So I guess before we get any deeper, before we go any deeper, I'd like to jump right into, I'd like to run right into the safari check. And if you are an OG, you definitely already know what the safari check is all about here. We check in with each other, you check in with me, and I check in with you as to where we are at on this journey called life. Actually, to be very honest, when I was thinking about doing the safari check with you guys, I was like, what am I gonna check in with people? Where am I really at? And I couldn't quite put a finger as to where I'm at. So I guess my safari check looks like just me running up and down, and I get a little time I'm sleeping. So that's where I'm at. That's basically how my life looks like at the moment. I'm up and down, running around like a headless chicken, and just trying to put things in place. As I continue to be committed to the things I've decided to be committed to, as I spoke about in our last episode, which was on No One Is Coming to Save You. Was it? Let me confirm. Actually, the previous episode was on competence over confidence. Yeah, so that was the previous episode. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. I guess that's how my safari check is gonna look like today. Let me know in the comment section below. Write to me what your safari looks like. Check in with me. If you really can't check in with me via the comment section, check in with someone you're close to, or someone who's currently in your space if you're comfortable enough, and let them know how your safari looks like. Okay, yeah, so let's talk about why I ran. So maybe I can start with a little background of my running life. I think you might be disappointed in the next 2-3 minutes after I'm done explaining this particular background. However, from the name of my podcast, ChepSafari, Chep is actually part of my middle name, so I'm known as Chep, especially with most of my friends and family and people I grew up with, people who've known me for a very long time. And just recently my close friends, my adult friends, started calling me Chep. So if you're Kenyan, you know Chep is a name from the Rift Valley, and people who have names such as Chep and Keep are known to be runners, right? So people from where I come from are runners. And just to demystify this whole thing, not all Kalenjins are runners. Okay, obviously not all Kalenjins are runners, but most of us are known because of the people who've made Kenya proud in terms of winning competitions and bringing home gold medals, bronze or silver medals. So for the international family, you've probably had names of famous runners who hail from a country in Africa called Kenya. So those are my tribes, men and women. Now, when you come from this particular tribe, growing up, people around you automatically assume that you do know how to run. Like you and running, same WhatsApp group. Like you're the runner. Like so when I was younger in primary school or lower primary school, when people would do like competitions and things of the same, I would be automatically like picked from a crowd and told you have to run for this team because, you know, obviously you're Chep someone, you're a Kalenjin, your people run, so you have to know how to run. Contrary to this belief, I never knew how to run. If I ran with my friends, I was always last. Mind you, I never competed in any of these competitions where people picked me out from the crowd, mainly because I would either not show up on the day of running, like I would give an excuse so that either I'm sick at home, I don't go to school, or I just hide, or I've broken my leg, things of that sort. So that's how sort of my childhood was shaped. I remember growing up in a particular estate where I grew up in, and you know how you do those races with your friends, trying to race from like one end of the road to the other end of the road, and then one is number 1, number 2, number 3, and then it's the number last. So we'd always have you know how you do the on your mark, go row, set your matako and go. I think something like that. So basically it's the on your mark, get set, go. So I used to always be last. Hadi my friends used to give me like a head start. They were like, Chep, you can start running and then us will run when everyone else is running. But they would still come and pass me. So that's how not into running I was, if that makes any sense. And then obviously when you grew up with the parents from the Rift, I think a lot of Kalis who are watching would definitely relate. your parents will tell you how they used to run. You know, they used to be they used to be number one in competitions. You don't see it in them as you, like, now when you look at them, you're like, I can't picture you running. However, in their stories, they were always the champions. So, you know, and then they would obviously joke around, hey, when are you bringing home the gold medal? You know, when you're watching someone on TV and someone from your tribe's men or women like come home, you know, it makes the community so proud, the people in the community so proud. So my folks would always joke and they're like, unatuletea gold medal lini? So that's one of the things that would happen. So when I got into lower primary, I had a friend of mine who we grew up together in the same estate and went to the same primary school, who would teach me how to run. So this primary school we went to was a small school. It was a community school right next to where we lived, and it didn't have a field. So we used to go to one of the public school fields next to, it was maybe like a 10-15 minute walk from our actual school. So on Wednesdays was always like games day. And I remember, I think I was in like class 2, class 3, maybe between 2 to 5. So my friend and I would always have a session during our Wednesday PE days where she would teach me how to run. And if she's watching this, she probably would pick this up immediately. If you don't pick this up immediately, your name starts with a B, so you probably know yourself. So we'd go to the field and then she would teach me, you know, this is how you do, this is how you go on your marks, this is how you set your body up so that you're ready, you're streamlined to run. And then when you run, you know, this is how you propel your hands, this is how your legs should move, this is how your body should be, and then this is how you should run. Like, guys, Wednesday after Wednesday for like a certain period of time. Did I learn anything? Did I improve? Nada, nothing, nilch, zilch, zero. However, she put so much effort in it. So I used to be like, and she was a fellow tribes woman. So I was like, man, how comes me I can't run and these people are running? So I basically there was no interest that was developed in me from like my childhood to run. Same thing happened in high school. I remember Form 1, I just arrived. I think it was in the first month. There were competitions for houses, you know, how the houses where you sleep. So I was in Athi, whoop, whoop. So our team was the red team, and we were competing obviously against all other teams. And I was picked out as the person to run just because my name was Chep. So did I run? I didn't run. I just ran away from like just these people. Either was sick, I wasn't available on that particular day, you couldn't find me. Yeah, so even me talking about running it's not coming from a professional or an expert side or point of view, or someone who's always had an interest in running. If I actually, to be honest with myself, if I did this video up maybe just like a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago, this video would be titled differently. Like I'd title it Why I Walk. Because the thing I did closest to running was actually walking. So yeah, however I started running in 2020 last year, influenced by a friend of mine who I met through church, and she also lives close to my place, so she would always run. I'd see her post on Instagram, and I'd be like, damn. And I'd actually really love to interview her here someday. Hopefully I will in future. But it was during that time, I think it was in April, a month into COVID. And you know, I'd obviously seen her posts on running. So I reached out to her and was like, when are you going for your next run? We should definitely run together. I've never run, I'm not into running. let's do this. So we've also trained together with her. So I know her a little bit from the fitness perspective, and she's a fit mom. Like she does the reps. She actually is the one who nicknamed me Anyamba. No, what did she nickname me? Ayumba. Yeah, she named me Ayumba because nilikuwa na yumba when I'm working out. Like, you know, when coaches wasn't looking my direction, I would just lay on the floor or not do the reps that he was telling us to do. So and then when he's looking at my direction, man, I'm the most hardworking trainee in the room. Like I'm doing everything possible to get in those reps, to get in those gains. So she's telling me, hey, Chep una yumba. So she nicknamed me the name Ayumba. So I saw her running and I was like, you know what? So definitely at this point, I know the value of being fit. I'm interested in a fit lifestyle. I think I'd been working out for maybe 5 years. Because it was 2020 last year when I started running. So I started working out in 2015, December. So maybe 4-5 years. And yeah, so she was kind enough. She let me know about the next day she was running, and we started running. So we hit it off immediately, and we met at a particular place. And I still remember my first run with her. I think we were to meet at like 7 in the morning. Those days for me 7 was early. Like, men nimeamka mapema ndio tuanze kukimbia. 7, it's early. Or was it like 6:30? But that still was early for me. So we were supposed to do a trail that would be maybe 2.5 kilometers, maximum 3 kilometers maximum. And then we got to the place where we were supposed to turn and come back home, or come back towards the sides where we were supposed to do our cool down. And I was like, Mama Loa, Shani, I've woken up at 7. Ndio nikimbia 2 kilometers. Because when we were running, she's like, oh, this route is a good route where you can run and go this direction. Sounds good. This one, however, is a bit long, but it'll take us round and bring us to wherever it is we are going. So she's like, tuchape 7 kilometers. I was like, tuchape. Let me tell you. Obviously, adrenaline, you're excited. We ran 7 kilometers. At some point, I think it was like maybe 3 kilometers in, I was like, you know what, I'm done. I think maybe it was 5 kilometers. Manze nimejichocha mbaya, I can't go past this. So through that process, she taught me a few things. So she was like, you know, you don't have to stop immediately. You can slow down. So we literally were like jogging at a pace which we could walk to like slow down your heartbeat, but also maintain the motion and the movement. And then again, she also taught me that if you really need to stop or want to stop, do stop. Don't push yourself, like don't be too harsh on yourself, especially because I'm starting out. These are some of the lessons I'll hint at towards the end of the podcast. So that's how I started running, to be quite honest. So we ran with her, and then I have a really good friend of mine from high school who during some period last year was staying near our place. So we would run together. Now our times changed from 7, meeting at 7, to 6:30, to 6:20, to 6:15. And man, let me tell you, it was a struggle. Like I remember just my alarm going off or my friend calling me in the morning, and I was like, this must be the last day, because no, I can't do this any longer. So we ran 3 of us. In this period of us running, we ran for probably 6 months. I'm not quite sure. And in this period, I was able to like hit different milestones of things I'll mention towards the end of the podcast. But one of the milestones I remember is when I did my first 10 kilometers. Man, I think it was at a pace of 5.5 or something. We did 10 kilometers in 1 hour. 10 like 10 kilometers in like, was it like maybe 10.1 or 10.2 in like 1 hour, 3 minutes. I still remember it clearly, and I was like, damn, I've made it, mama. So when I made it, I told them, you know what, I need to take a break, relax, because we used to run maybe at least 4 times a week. Sometimes we'd even go for 5, 6 times a week. We'd run because we were home from school. There was nothing much we were doing, and there's that period where there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of people were home. So, man, I ran, but I think I ran too much, if that makes sense. Like I overran, especially as a beginner. So I decided to take a break, and I told them, you know what, I'm taking this week off. I'll meet you next week. That next week never came. I think I took a break from running for like another 6 months or 8 months, close to a year. And then I resumed running this year, almost same time. So, yeah, that's basically my running story in terms of when I started running. And a little bit about why I said running. I said running just because I was interested in the exercise, especially seeing it from my friend. And it's something I knew was difficult, so I wanted to challenge myself. That's when I started running, and those are some of the reasons I started running. Some of the earlier or initial reasons as to why I started running. So when I got a bit comfortable into the art or into the sport of running, my reason for running now became, especially when I started doing my long runs on Sunday. I think I've run every day of the week. So I realized Sunday was like a very relaxed day. In the morning, there are not so many cars outside, not so many people outside. Even if you decide to run late, like later than 7, if you decide to run at 8, because I think that times we used to run until like 10 in the morning, and there's no much hustle outside. So those were moments for me. Like running for me was time to bond with my friends, because I remember running with Paulette in the morning, or meeting with Paulette in the morning, so we could walk to where our other friend was a time for us to bond, talk, catch up. And then even sometimes in our runs, or if we decided to walk, we'd have Mama Luash like advise us on things, like advise us concerning things in life, or we just talk. So it was a really good way to bond. And then obviously you're getting motivation from your friends to keep on going. They're waiting for you, or they're pushing you, or they're getting new trails or new routes to go through, which are scenic or adventurous or unique. And also it was a way to clear my mind. Obviously at that time, COVID, people are panicking, news is like negative. I was like, this was my chance to just get out of the house. I don't want to hear how many people got COVID, positivity rate or whatever. I just wanted to be away from all those things. So running was definitely something that would take me away from all those anxious moments. Up until today, actually, I remember there are days when, if I had an important conversation I was supposed to have with someone, and I'm tense, like I haven't slept well through the night, I'd wake up and run before I have this conversation with this person, or an interview I'm supposed to go to. I wake up and run. On my first day at work, I remember I woke up and ran just to get this tension off of my system. And then also another important bit was God moments. For me, running equaled spending time with God. Like I used to walk, maybe when I used to go for my workouts in 2015, between 2015 to 2017, I'd walk to the place we used to train at just to talk to God, and wrestle with God. And I'm like, God, man, manze, leo hujanibamba, you're not looking at my direction. Man, there's no favor in my direction. So those are my times to like wrestle with God, or sometimes just talk to God or be thankful and things like that. So up until today, whenever I have time in between breaths, But now I'm a bit more comfortable in like my paces. So it's a moment just to look around, appreciate, talk to God, whisper something, think about your day. So that's what running has been for me. Yeah, I think I've spoken about what running has been for me when I started. What it looks like now, it looks like a routine. So one of the things, I'm a very structured person. You might have noticed this from this podcast. You might have picked a thing or two that reads me as a very structured person. So I decided, so when I came back into running after I took that wasn't even a break, like I ran away. Literally ran away from running. So when I came back, I decided to have some sort of structure, because we'd run whenever, like we'd run however long. Although my friend actually had like some sort of structure using an app that she was using, and which would help plan what we're doing tomorrow and everything. But in terms of the days of running, we could run today, run tomorrow, not run the next day, then run, and then the next week it's totally different. So I came back and decided to have some sort of structure. So I ran on Mondays, on Wednesdays, on Fridays, and on Sundays. And then the time is always consistent, unless obviously I get out of bed a little bit later. But I always run in the morning before getting ready to start my day. I've tried running in the evening, guys. It's not the best thing, to be honest. Unakimbia 6, by the time it's 6:20, it's dark outside. And you go, your trail is dark, there are no street lights. So it's quite, it gets darker in the evening, obviously, but I feel like it gets darker faster in the evening when you're running. Then in the morning, you can wake up and go out and run when it's dark. But by the time it's 6 in the morning, the sun is up, or it's bright outside, or it's better. So I run in the morning. And then how does my routine look? So my routine keeps on changing. I think it's best to always acknowledge the season you're in. I remember there was a time when I was in school, or when I was on break from school, I could run at whatever time, get back home, do the exercise of the day, and then have something nutritious to eat, start my day. And then there were days when I was in school, I had to run early in the morning, do a short, quick exercise, and then have something nutritious, go out. But now I barely have time. I've tried, I think in the past, I got back to running now consistently after I took a break in July, was it end of July? So from August, September, October, I never ran. So I started running in November. So my runs in November, the first 2 weeks, I would run and exercise. And then now I just have time to run. So I'm like, you know what, I'll just be running, maximize the season of running as I figure out how I can squeeze in like ab exercises or upper body or lower body, or however. And then, yeah, I guess that's how my running routine looks like at the moment. So it started differently, it can end differently. You can decide to run a day a week, find whatever benefits that you're seeking out for in running. Obviously you can Google the usual scientifically proven exercise benefits of running, such as it's good for your heart, it's good for muscle memory, for body workout, things of the sort. And then also seek other benefits for yourself. Like for me, as I mentioned, it was my God moment. It was a moment for me to clear my mind, bond with friends. And also I'm a nature person. I haven't mentioned this, but I'm a nature person. So I'm always like, I like looking outside, like looking at things, trees, just how places look, buildings look, where things are positioned. So it's my time to look around and just explore, if that makes sense. So I guess that's why I ran. As I was thinking about this episode, I thought of also including maybe ways that you can start running. So I can just I can talk a little bit about how you can start running in this particular segment. For those of you who may be interested, some of you are born runners, some of you are not born runners like myself, but are interested in the art. You can dip your toes into it and see how it fits you, and then get into it. There are a lot of things I have learned from running. I'm not sure whether this can be an episode on its own, but I've learned consistency, I've learned discipline, I've learned perseverance, also self-control. Like, the things that have reflected even in my life. I could spend a whole day just lazing around, but when I do run in the morning, I'm more energized and ready for the day. So there are several benefits that come with running. I don't know if I'll do an episode like this. Maybe I'd like to talk about this with someone that I'm interviewing for an episode. But those are some of the things that you can do. I remember, like, you don't need expensive equipment or whatever. I would not be able to time myself, so when I was used to run with my friends, I would rely on like their gadgets that would track our distance and our running time, or that would instruct the type of run we're doing on that day. And then when I said running alone, there's a really long period where I just had my kabambe. So I would just use my kabambe to look at the time. So the time I got out was at this time, or it's the time I'm coming back. Okay, great. So I know I've run for 30 minutes or 20 minutes. I don't know how much distance I have covered. And I just ran. Like, I didn't need to find a reason why I shouldn't run, right? There are times I would borrow like my mom's phone or someone's phone in the house, download the app, track myself, and from there just know, this particular route that I normally run is normally 3 kilometers, this is 5 kilometers, this is 7 kilometers, this is 2 kilometers, so that I know, when I don't have time, I can run this shorter trail. When I do have time, I can take the longer trail. So yeah, and there are moments I actually didn't have for a long time I didn't have the right shoes. However, there are times I even got like thrifted shoes for 1,000 bob. Na hiyo ndo nimekimbia naye hadi juzi. I got another thrifted pair. Hiyo imekimbia hadi soli imeisha. So you don't really need, it's good if you're able to access certain things, then it's good. Like for me, one of my dreams is to own a Garmin watch. Like, this is one of the things I'm working towards. Like this is a life goal. If I could just own Garmin, I think it's Vivo something, can't quite remember the moment, but it's an Vivo Active something. Yeah, if I remember it, I'll put it here on the screen. But that's that's something I'd like to have. Otherwise, at the moment, I continue running with my kabambe. However, I recently just got a phone, so this one can facilitate my running in terms of getting an app, which I haven't even downloaded yet. I just run because I want to run and time like the minutes I've run. And yeah, I guess that's it. So you really don't need to monitor yourself. You don't need to have expensive equipment. At least if you can't access that yet. It can be a goal of yours down the line. You will actually realize that running is an art, and there are a lot of things that you learn from running. Yeah, so how can you start running? Get a friend if you can. Who knows? Who's a runner, if possible, who can train you, or who's interested in the same, and you can run together. Get a pair of shoes, comfortable for you to run. You can start with walking. You can just do the kawaida walk and then transition into a brisk walk. Or you can start with short distances, and then you can run and then run and then stop, or like run and then walk and then go back to running and then walk. Do this continuously until maybe you get the hang of running a certain distance on your own. So yeah, and then you can also research on better ways of running. So I remember, and I still do this up until date, when I said running, like my friend would point out, oh, you're really struggling with breathing, or your form needs to look this way, or this is how you're supposed to stretch before running, or this is how you're supposed to cool down after running. So you learn a whole lot. You realize that running has its own sort of technique, but there's nothing in life that you start knowing fully well, so you always learn on the job. Yeah, that's my running episode. I thought I'd share my experience, and if you do run, or if you're interested in running, please do share your experiences in the comment section below. I would really, to be very honest, would love to hear your experiences and hear from you. I'm very interested in it. Yeah, there are people I'm very interested in even wanting to interview or talk to, or just run alongside. Some I definitely can't run alongside because of the pace, but just experience their running life, if that makes sense. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. If you've gotten this far, if you're watching me on YouTube, you can clearly tell the lights just went out on me, which is okay. However, we're consistently churning out this content, as we said, and I'm committed to that. Check out my previous episodes if you haven't already. We already have 3 episodes out, and a bonus clip sort of that talks or depicts the introduction of ChepSafari. Yeah, so thank you so much. This was one of my favorite things to talk about. I rarely talk about things I do, so I'm getting comfortable with that. And yeah, I guess that's it. Do not let anyone dictate your running terms for you. Find that out for yourself and stick to it, even if you're running half a kilometer. Period. That's okay. That's okay. That's equally okay as someone who decided to run 100 kilometers. Kudos to both of you. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you've gotten this far and you haven't subscribed, guys, let's be serious. Subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who you think would find this interesting. And I will see you in the next episode. Go get your run in, and do not make an excuse. All right, see you. Take care. Bye. I have to run.